He actually said the best line. He said, the one thing about a film festival, it's a great shot of vitamin B12 in the arse for any city. So with that, we went and
Well, thank you for having us to your office. You have quite a collection here. Would love to hear more about it. I mean, you and Nelson Mandela, how did that happen?
It was the first film festival, and you know, we were still digging out after 9/11, and you just couldn't like say, okay, we're doing a film festival. So we had to have something or someone come and say it's okay now to go celebrate. So Mandela had been here his first trip to New York when he got out of Robben Island, and we had done a fundraiser at the time for him. And Bob called him and asked him if he could come back again and help us open the film festival. And so we did. And
wow. So it was you, it was Robert De Niro, and Nelson Mandela at the
And Nelson Mandela. It was Mike Bloomberg had just been elected, so we did it on the back steps of Gracie Mansion. President Clinton came, Francis Ford Coppola, Barry Levinson, and Whoopi Goldberg, and Hugh Grant. He actually said the best line. He said, the one thing about a film festival, it's a great shot of vitamin B12 in the arse for any city. So with that, we went and...
And was it true? Did the city come to life after that?
It did come to life after that. It was kind of extraordinary. There were over 100,000 people that came back downtown. And it was pretty momentous. And I, of course, thought that was it. That was, you know, I was going to just go back to my day job producing and that we weren't going to be doing another festival. And here we are 23 years later.
Wow. Yeah. So the reception to that was so overwhelming that you got wrangled into doing it again and again and again.
Again and again. But I didn't realize that I'd signed long-term contracts with sponsors.
Okay, well that makes a difference too.
So that makes a difference. And then I also remember driving up the West Side Highway, the festival was over, because we did the festival in 120 days. And, you know, I no sleep. I was beyond exhausted. I'm driving up, my cell phone rings, and it's Bob, and he's saying, how come we didn't have da-da-da-da? You know, I don't want to say what the da-da-da is, but anyway, how come we didn't have da-da-da? And I said, well, because it's going to Cannes. He said, but it should have been with us. It's a New York movie. We should have had it next year. And I'm like, next year? You've got to be kidding. I can't believe it. But
and you were stuck.
I'm stuck. Here I am, 23 years later.
And it happens right around the same time as Cannes. I mean, it seems like it's Cannes. You know, you have,
well,
that's not Salt Lake, I'm blanking on the name of the other.
Well, Sundance starts it in January, and then, you know, it kind of goes on. There's South by. We used to be in April. Mm-hmm. We moved it to June when COVID hit. And we became the first festival out of COVID. We did kind of a hybrid festival. We were in parks and we're in a lot of parks.
Wow, so you did a festival though immediately after the outbreak of COVID in 2020?
Yeah, 2021, I think. Okay. Yeah, right. Okay. We canceled the first. We were canceled in 2020.
And then
the following year, a year later, we did the festival outdoors. People were still kind of afraid to actually go indoors, but we were able to, by the end of that festival, we were able to open up Radio City with Dave Chappelle and a film that he made, and then a great musical and comedy performance afterwards. And that was really the first big inside event that had happened in the city. So
wow,
that was
and
exciting.
A shot of B12.
That was amazing. People were so excited to be back together that I remember somebody like accidentally tossed red wine at someone, and instead of being pissed off, they were like, that's okay, everything's fine. I mean, people were just so excited to be together. So.
Perspective, yeah. And here you are with Barack Obama, Katie Holmes. Who are some of the favorite, most impressive, interesting people that you've met who've come to Tribeca?
Oddly, so see, there's a picture of this there's Nelson Mandela, and that's my daughter Isabella, and then this is Michelle Obama and my daughter Isabella. I think she's one of the most interesting people that comes to the festival is my daughter Isabella, because of how she's seen the festival change over the years since she literally was, this little baby. But so getting that perspective over all these years of what somebody likes and how they look at you and say, that again? That's boring. You did that.
So she's your harshest critic then?
Yeah, definitely my harshest critic.
One thing that I think a lot of people have a misconception about Tribeca is that it's just films, but you really do it all. I mean, you have games, you have podcasts, you've expanded the scope of the film festival so much. Tell us a little bit about kind of the reason for doing that and all of the different mediums that you're focused on now.
Because the world has changed. I mean, look at how you entertain yourselves, how we consume content, how we consume stories. So games are amazing ways of telling nonlinear stories. Music videos have great stories sometimes, certainly the ones that we like do. You look at what's happened in television and with streaming platforms. So there's like amazing stories. And as a producer, I like to tell stories, whether I'm making a film or a mini series or a series or a short film. So why not embrace it all? And then also artists are pivoting too. So they're doing pieces in VR, in AR. They're doing gaming. It's like, it's a much more fluid way to kind of look at how artists approach the world and the stories they want to tell. And that's what we try to do at Tribeca, is bring all the artists and all different kind of storytellers under our big roof down here.
This year, understand there's going to be a new edition, Deniro Con. Tell us a little bit about that. It sounds like great news for us super fans.
It's going to be amazing. I mean, it's really, what do you get Bob De Niro for a 80th birthday? And we decided to throw Deniro Con. So there'll be some amazing pictures that he's been in. Quentin Tarantino is going to be here, and they'll be screening Jackie Brown. Billy Crystal will be here with Analyze This, and David O. Russell with Silver Linings Playbook. And then there'll be an immersive exhibition at Spring Studios, which is our main hub, and there'll be a lot of his notes, his old photos that have never been seen before, his scripts, and then later we're going to have some real fun with Bob. We're going to have a De Niro hero. There'll be the De Niro heroes. There are so many delis that all have their special De Niro hero. So there'll be a competition for the best De Niro hero.
Are you entering anything in the competition?
Oh no!
Okay.
No. He is my hero, so I don't have to do anything.
So artificial intelligence, just in the last few years, it seems like it's kind of changed everything, and it's certainly impacting the way that film is made. You have been involved in sort of figuring out how to adopt it. I know you've done work and even spoke at Runway AI's event. What is your take on how artificial intelligence is changing film? How do you think it's going to impact the way that we watch movies?
Well, AI has been used in movies for years. Jurassic Park had a lot of AI in it. Oh,
that wasn't real? Okay.
It was. Anyway, so I think that part of what we're trying to do at the festival is show how AI can be used. I think there's a lot of fear about it, and you kind of fear what you don't know. I think it will change. There are definitely things in terms of productivity and how quickly we can go on certain things, just even when you're in production and breaking down scripts and locations and day out of days, that kind of stuff. I don't think it's going to. I think people are concerned about jobs, and and that's something obviously we're all concerned about. But I think it will also be about creating new jobs, and just because if you're a VFX editor, you're still going to be a VFX editor. You'll just have new tools to play with, and I think that's exciting. So we have a lot of different programs about AI, and it will be interesting. I think it will be a learning experience for all of us. But I always like playing with new tools that can help us tell our stories in the best of ways.
So you're thinking of it at this point more as a tool. I mean, do you think we'll ever see a film that's completely soup to nuts AI, with AI actors and AI scripts and everything being AI generated?
Never is a long time, but I think that, that will probably happen. You have a movie coming out with Robert Zemeckis' new movie that Eric Roth wrote, and it's Tom Hanks and Robin Wright, and that's with face swapping, and how they and actually it's more of the aging in it, and how they did that, which is all AI as I understand it. It's going to be used in ways that are unexpected. Hopefully it will be used in ways that are ethically and morally acceptable, and that if you are switching out things, you're going to know that they are, and you're not going to be having a lot of fake news out there.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, fake images can be anywhere, news, movies, etc. So Francis Ford Coppola, who I know you know, he just created a movie that cost, I think, $120 million. He put his own money in there. He's one of the greatest directors of all time, and yet he's struggling to find distribution for that film. What do you think that says about the state of the industry, and do you think he will find distribution, or do you think this is sort of underscoring a problem that we're going to continue to see?
We've always had that problem. It's not a new problem. I think what you have so many films in the marketplace, and there are so many different platforms, and it's the audience's choice. It's the consumer's choice, and with so many that and with so many filmmakers out there, and anyone being able to create, it's it's changed a bit. But Francis is an extraordinary filmmaker, and I do believe that it will be screened in IMAX. Don't know what exactly is happening with the distribution for that deal, but I'm sure that film will get distribution.
Certainly, but I mean, it does seem to show that content is being thought of so differently today, right? Because so many people, it seems like now, are making things for Netflix or TV shows instead of focusing on these incredible cinematic feats.
It took us 10 years to get Irishman made. Yeah. And we ended up doing that for Netflix, and it was out in theaters, but it wasn't out in the traditional chains. It was out in, all the independent theaters, and Netflix had put that together for us. Look, the business is changing. How many times have you been to the movies lately?
It's been a while.
Okay, but you've watched movies.
Yep.
Okay, and so look, we're all consuming, we're all consuming things, watching things differently. How we get our news, how do you read the New York Post?
I get the paper copy. How about you?
I get the paper copy
good,
too.
okay.
But there's a ritual to that. Okay, but not everybody.
Wait, tell us about your New York Post ritual.
My New York Post ritual is I get the paper. I get the New York Times and the Post every day, and the New York Times kind of tells me a certain thing of a certain point of view. And the Post tells me what I've got to know in the city, what I've got to know. And a number of times I have to read it defensively. But other than that, but it's great. I love my New York Post.
I'm so glad to hear that. What I said in my interview is I said people have to read some publications. I'm not going to name them. People want to read the New York Post.
Oh, absolutely. And, come on, between the Knicks and the Rangers right now, suddenly I start reading the Post from the back cover.
Well, since you brought up James Dolan, obviously big Knicks guy, you have done a lot of work with him, but also with the Sphere. And we've been talking a lot about different mediums. That obviously is a very new medium that I believe you've created specific content for. Do you think we can see more of those kinds of venues coming here? Do you think that it's representative of the fact that we're going to consume content in so many different formats and mediums?
Oh, it's certainly a new medium, a spherical format with the most extraordinary sound going, and enough seats for 17,500 people, and so
it wouldn't accommodate everyone who's coming to Tribeca.
Not even. There's still more people that come to Tribeca. But that said, not the venue for independent film necessarily. I think immersive experiences and what Jim has done with the Sphere is really quite extraordinary. Mm-hmm. It's amazing for the dead are currently there. It's amazing for the sound is extraordinary, and I hope he'll build more spheres. You never know, but I hope so.
It sounds like you're creating immersive experiences, not necessarily like that, but here with Mercer Labs. What does that look like?
That looks like it's a number of artists who we've worked with before, and mostly their work has been in VR in a headset, and now we've taken it and we've reworked it with Mercer Labs, and more people can walk through the experience and see something that is a bit different than the way you would view it in a viewfinder.
Yeah, interesting. So New York, it seems like a few decades ago, was really a center, not just for production, but also for producing. You had legitimate movie executives who were here. You had Lionsgate, Miramax, obviously, which is no more. And yet it seems like recently a lot of that power has sort of shifted back to LA. Do you think that there still is that sort of culture of people who are packaging, producing, creating that content the way there used to be? Or do you think we have seen that mostly go back to California?
Look, after COVID, what office you were in didn't seem to matter. You could be on Zoom anywhere. And so where people are based isn't necessarily as relevant as it once was. The shift between New York, the industry, media going between New York and LA has gone on for years and years and years. And, Lionsgate is or isn't here. I don't know. I think they do have an office here. But Netflix opened up an office, and Netflix opened up a studio. So it's, it shifts, and that doesn't, New York is one of the greatest places to shoot movies. We've got like an amazing backdrop, and the one thing about shooting in New York is you can make New York look like anything.
Yeah. Over the last few years, there's been some new sort of standards and quotas unveiled as part of various DEI initiatives. Some filmmakers feel that is a little challenging for them as they think about content they want to produce and create. Do you think it's a limitation, or what do you think of some of these new requirements that are imposed, mainly to be qualified to win an Oscar and whatnot?
On the qualifications to win an Oscar, I can't really speak to that. On the fact that as an industry, we have to support diversity that should look like our society. And certainly when we were working on, I was working with Ava DuVernay on and producing When They See Us, we wanted to ensure that our crew looked like the city that it's from, and so certainly supporting more women behind the camera, and BIPOC. I mean, you want to support people to make great stories, and our stories you know, it's the support of, it's supporting people who are telling new stories and bringing other opinions into our culture is a new, we'll get a different creative slant to it. But it's also, I mean, when you go into a movie, you hear things, you learn things, and you might actually digest a different point of view than you would if you were in a school lecture or listening to a politician or watching MSNBC or Fox or whatever your, you know, proclivities are. So it's the way it has to be. Mm-hmm. You have to have, we have to do it. Otherwise the Academy looks, you know, like a world that you don't want your kids to inherit.
Well, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Ha.